All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where Gervonta Tank Davis' team makes a shocking revelation about their plans at lightweight after the fight, provided they're successful with Ryan Garcia, and it points in a direction that many people won't expect. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where we just got a big announcement about a fight coming up on April 22nd, and that is the fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. Gervonta Davis's camp, specifically his coach, Calvin Ford, made a mention of a fact that I thought was very, very interesting, or their opinion about what they want to do or what they're considering doing after they fight Ryan Garcia. And it is a fight that I think may be better than the Ryan Garcia fight. But once again, it's not for any belts. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much to everybody that has been here for a long time. Thank you to everybody specifically that sponsor videos like this through the super thanks. That we are a crowd-funded channel. We do not have sponsorships from promoters or fighters or betting sites. So thank you guys very much for the people that support in that fashion and the super thanks. But let's get into this. I was watching the Rise podcast. Shout out to the Rise podcast. And Coach Calvin Ford said something that I think was it was a lightning rod. And I think he knew it when he said it. And I was like, man, I'm not going to make a video about this. But then thought to myself, no, I'm going to make a video about this because I like very, very much what he said. Now, some people aren't going to like it, but I'm looking at the facts behind what he said and what it means for boxing. And I have to say, man, I think I like that. So what did he say? He said, basically, after we get done with Ryan Garcia and beat Ryan Garcia, because they were fully confident that the bout was going to get made, said, you guys are going to find out about it with the rest of the world, right? And so if you ever really watch the Rise podcast, great stuff over there on the Rise podcast on YouTube. He said that after they get done, the fighter that really that interests them a lot, and I've heard them say several times, unprompted, was a fight with Shakur Stevenson, and said, look, from what we can see, the fan base and the level of attraction of the fighters, that they believe that Shakur Stevenson was a bigger name than Haney was, and also said that they thought Lomachenko was a bigger name than Lomachenko was. Than Devin Haney was. Now, of course, there are people that are going to say, well, Devin Haney's the champion. He's got all 4 belts. And for the people that say that, I can definitely 100% see your point of view on that. However, when we talk about who was the most difficult fight and who was the biggest challenge at 135 pounds, it's going to be hard pressed to convince anybody that it's not Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson is a multi-divisional champion, came from 126 to, just like Gervonta Davis did, went to 130 pounds, became unified, right? Won multiple championships at 130 pounds, just like Gervonta Davis did. Gervonta Davis didn't hold both at the same time, but he held the IBF. And then after he relinquished the IBF because he had missed weight in a fight, he came back and he won the WBA Super. After that, he moved to 135 and got the WBA regular title at 135, but then he came back down and fought at the 130-pound limit and beat the 130-pound WBA super champion to win that belt the second time in his fight with Leo Santa Cruz. So now Gervonta Davis is at 135 pounds. Shakur Stevenson's at 135 pounds. And this is a non-title fight, right? If you consider the 135-pound WBA regular belt not to be a major title, right? So it wouldn't be for a major championship belt. So, but if you look at it at the same time, if you look at it and say, well, who is the best fighting the best? Then it has to go. That is something you have to consider. Now, also, please remember that Shakur Stevenson is somebody that to date, the undisputed champion at 135 pounds, Devin Haney, is not interested in fighting at that weight class. So that is literally, since Devin Haney doesn't want to fight Shakur Stevenson, there's a lot of people that would argue that that is avoiding the duck word or avoiding Shakur Stevenson. So if Gervonta Davis were to fight Shakur Stevenson, he's literally willing to do something that the undisputed champion is not willing to do and fight a guy like Shakur Stevenson. And that is not insane. And we all know that what type of fighter Shakur Stevenson is and how dangerous a fight that is for Gervonta Davis. And there's a lot of people that would argue, just like they've said in the past about Gervonta, well, you know, Gervonta Davis doesn't fight black fighters. Well, I think that would make that go away, unless you're one of the people that work at Top Rank that is trying to sell off Shakur Stevenson as Puerto Rican, even though I know he is Puerto Rican. His father's Puerto Rican, and it doesn't matter if both of his parents are Puerto Rican. That's a black dude right there. So that fight checks off a bunch of different things. Highly skilled fighter that has a legitimate chance to beat Gervonta Davis in a fight that I think many people would call a 50-50 fight. Many people may say, hey, I will go with Gervonta Davis, but you're going to have a good number of people saying, no, I'm going to take Shakur Stevenson in that fight. That is a very big, dangerous fight. And on top of that, coming right back off of a fight with Ryan Garcia, who at a point in time was considered one of the maybe the top 5 lightweights. You're also padding up that resume when people start talking about the level of fighter that you fought and the level of fighter that you've beaten. That thing with Shakur Stevenson would be no joke whatsoever. So that's the idea that they're thinking, okay, man, if we're going to fight somebody, who do we really want to fight? Do we want to fight Devin for undisputed, or do we want to fight Shakur Stevenson and just fight Shakur Stevenson for a fight that the fans would be very, very interested in? Seeing as, you know, Gervonta Davis has already expressed that he's not really into the belts, right? That's not really what motivates him getting more belts. What motivates him is making money in fights and having big crowds and giving people fights that the fans want to see. Man, that particular fight with Shakur Stevenson checks off that box, just like it would with Devin Haney. But the observation that somebody may have a bigger fan base than the other, man, there's a good argument for that, because if you look at the televised numbers for Shakur Stevenson fights and Devin Haney's fights, Shakur Stevenson's numbers are higher than Devin Haney's are. And if Devin Haney gets his wish to go over to Saudi Arabia and fight Lomachenko in Saudi Arabia, that's just going to exacerbate the problem, because Devin Haney's not going to have if he's talking about fighting Gervonta Davis is not going to be going over to there to Saudi Arabia to fight him. So it's going to be in the United States. And so therefore you would look at it and say, okay, well, what are your numbers in the US? And once again, you're not going to have any, because your last 3 fights would have been out of the United States, fighting, basically fighting on a fight that is getting subsidized by a local government. So anyway, just interesting conversation. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.